Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Impact Farming Show. Today, I have an amazing guest joining me, Dave Gallant. How are you?
I am good, Tracy, yourself.
I am fantastic and happy to be chatting with you again. You guys, whoever has been tuning in for quite some time, you'll recognize Dave from a previous episode. He is the Vice President, Finance and APP Operations at CCGA. So, Dave, we are going to be talking about a fantastic tool, the Cash Advance Program. Before we dive in, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, your role, and then share more about CCGA?
Certainly. So I've been with CCJ for about 10 years now. I've spent over 30 years in the grain industry. Uh, my official title is that vice president, but really I'm responsible for the delivery of the cash advance program at CCGA, from the issuance of money to farmers right through to the ultimate collection of those funds at the end of the day. We also do all the financial reporting and accounting related to it. And I'm responsible for the borrowing of over $2 billion a week to finance the program. So it's pretty involved. CCGA itself has been around for 40 years. This is our 40th anniversary. So we were created in 1984 by a farmer just outside of Carman, Manitoba, to give producers who grew canola at that time access to the Cash Advance Program. So we've been delivering this program for 40 years. We've grown from a single commodity to 55 different commodities, largest administrator in the country for the program. And about 20 years ago, we also started delivering advocacy work and services for farmers. So we have been advocating on behalf of our 43,000 canola producers for 20 years now on a broad range of issues. Definitely started with things like trade access, biodiesel, those types of things related specifically to canola. However, those portfolios have expanded beyond that to things like transportation, business risk management products, files that cover the broad needs of many producers of many different products in Western Canada.
Okay, fantastic. Wow. So, CCGA administers the Cash Advance Program, as you mentioned. And personally, I know on our farm that the Cash Advance Program has fantastic benefits for farmers, yet only 1 in 4 farmers are using it, which I think is a crying shame. So that's why we're chatting today. Why don't we get you to share a little bit more about this amazing tool for farmers?
Sure, and you're right. 1 in 4 grain farmers uses it. Less than 1 in 10 livestock producers uses this program today in Western Canada. Um, at a high level, this program serves 3 primary purposes for farmers. Number one, it allows farmers to improve the marketing of their products. This is a marketing program under Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. So its primary purpose is to help with the marketing of their products. Number two, it actually can save farmers in this current interest rate environment tens of thousands of dollars in financing costs. And lastly, it's a really great program for newer entrants into the industry because it only requires inventory as collateral on the loan.
I love it. I love it. And that's why I said crying shame. It's such a powerful tool, but for us in our farm, and we've used it for many years. So that's why I am really excited about this conversation. So why don't we just dive right in and then talk about terms? How is it different than a farmer going to a bank to borrow money? Let's go there.
Okay, so starting off, we'll talk about the interest savings first.
Okay.
The first $250,000 of your cash advance at CCGA is interest free. You do not pay any interest on that. So no bank is ever going to match that financing cost. For the remaining $750,000 under the program, because it has a $1 million cap, we charge farmers prime minus a quarter. So that's 6.95%. Prime is 7.2%. So what that means for a farmer is no matter how big of an advance you take, whether it's purely interest free, whether you take $1 million, you will always pay below prime for your cash advance. And to quantify that just a little bit for farmers, if you took a $500,000 advance out today, your interest cost for a year is going to be just over $17,000. If you pay prime on that loan, your interest cost is $36,000. That's a $17,000 savings on a $500,000 advance. And that's if you're borrowing at prime. So as your customers will know, their own financing rates may be not prime, maybe prime plus a half, prime plus one. So depending on what their cost of financing is, plus how much they take, they could save upwards of $30,000 a year in financing costs alone by simply using a cash advance as opposed to other forms of financing. So that's the biggest savings available to farmers. It also differs from bank financing in two other ways. One, we don't have any requirements on how those funds are used. So once the money is deposited in the farmer's bank account, they can use it for any means they need to make their farm successful. And the second difference, or the last difference, is really that you only pay your cash advance as you deliver the product you've taken the advance for, which means there's no monthly payment, there's no minimum scheduled payments. You only pay when you get paid, which means you have cash flow to pay your advance when you make the payment. So it's tied directly to sales, which makes it a very uniquely agricultural financing tool.
Fantastic. Those are some amazing benefits. Okay, one thing that came straight to my mind when you were chatting, Dave, is young farmers. So, as we know, and I've been there, well, I was going to say not too long ago, a little while ago, we were young farmers, and it's tough getting started because they want your house, home, and everything. So, why don't you speak about that? Because I think that's a powerful benefit for young farmers that are trying to get going.
It's a great program for young farmers starting out, whether you're transitioning the farm to those young farmers or whether they're just starting out and mom and dad or family are helping them out. The only collateral required for the advance is the inventory, which means as long as that young farmer owns the inventory, markets the inventory themselves, records the revenue and their income taxes for that inventory, they can get a cash advance. They don't need to own land. They don't need to own equipment. They don't need to own buildings. They just need to own the inventory. And so what we're seeing is a lot of parents come by our organization and they're bringing their child or their young person getting into farming, and it establishes them as farmers. It gets them into the business of being responsible for paying a loan on an advance. And from a banking perspective, it establishes a credit in the ag industry, which then allows them, once they start paying off their cash advances, to go to the bank with a positive credit rating in an agricultural environment. So a lot of financial institutions will get young kids involved in taking out that first cash advance because then they can get financing through the bank subsequently down the road.
That is powerful. I remember those very beginning conversations. It's like, okay, you need collateral or money. It's like, okay, we're getting started. So that's amazing, right? And then it just kind of that step and then gets you going from there, right?
Exactly.
Amazing. Okay. So why don't we discuss what commodities qualify under the cash advance program?
Well, while CCGA is the Canadian Canola Growers Association, we don't do just canola advances. We do 55 different products. So we do cereals, so wheat, durum, barley, oats. Obviously, we do oil seeds, canola, flax, soybeans. We do pulses, peas and lentils, for example. We also do many specialty crops that farmers don't think of, like hemp, camelina, mustard. We also do forage crops. We do sweeteners, so we have honey advances. We do coarse grains like corn, and we do livestock. So we do cattle, bison, sheep, goats, and hog advances. And many farmers, if you have any customers who are certified organic growers, we were the first to introduce organic rates for farmers. So they get a higher rate for their product if they're a certified organic grower. And right now that portfolio includes flax, oats, peas, quinoa, wheat, and cattle. So again, there's a huge basket of products that CCGA offers farmers in Western Canada to get a cash advance on, and they can do it all in one stop with one location, one application.
Lovely. Okay, Dave, you have our interest. So now, why don't we talk about the process? How can farmers apply and talk a little bit about the timing of the year and the details about calves? Do they need to be born? Do the crops need to be seeded? What's the details there?
Okay, so we'll start with livestock.
Okay.
For a livestock advance, we start taking those advances April 1 every year. So we've been doing it now for a little over 5 weeks for the current program year. As long as hooves are on the ground, farmers can get a cash advance on that animal anytime between April 1 and next March 31st. So that's all the only requirement there. They must have agri stability. Now, From a grains and oilseeds perspective, farmers have the opportunity to take an advance out before they've even seeded. So right now, we've done over 4,000 advances to date for Western Canada for this spring on advances that have yet to be seeded. So farmers using the acres they plan to seed and their crop insurance coverage can get access to cash flow right now to help put the crop in the ground. Farmers may wait until they've actually seeded. And if they do, once they've seeded, they let us know what they've seeded, what they've got in the ground, what their insurance coverage is, and they can get a cash advance based on what they've actually got in the ground and ready to produce. And if they're not sure about applying at that point, they can wait until grain is in the bin. And you can apply for grain in the bin. If it's in the bin on April the 1st, you can apply for it. You can apply for it right up until March 31st of next year. And again, grain in the bin doesn't require any business risk management products, which means it's your grain in the bin times the rate per ton, and that's the check that you'll get.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. So here is one of the things other than interest free. I mean, there's amazing benefits, but you want to know what got me started in the Cash Advance program? It is the fact that it's a powerful marketing tool for farmers. We were getting going. I'll speak to me, and it's the same for grain farmers, anybody out there under all the commodities. We noticed that come fall, when we were ready to sell our calves, we didn't get the right price for what we wanted. It's like, well, wait a minute, we need to sell because we need the money. Loans are coming up, right? So we're thinking, and you hear of farmers just selling their animals at whatever price because they got to pay the bills. We're like, this isn't right. We went searching, found the Cash Advance program, and now it allows us to market our animals, speaking to our farm, when we want to, not when we need to. So can you, I gave my powerful benefit behind that, but can you touch on that a little bit more?
That's really the basic premise of this program. It's to give farmers access to cash flow for their inventory without having to sell that inventory. And your example is a classic, whether it's livestock or whether it's grains and oilseeds. There are times in the year when prices are not great. Grains and oilseeds, it's typically in the fall when everybody's harvesting at the same time. But you got to pay the bills. And as farmers, you only generate cash flow when you sell product. Well, this puts cash flow in your pockets today so that you don't have to sell your product today. And in your example, that allows you the flexibility to choose when you sell that product. Ideally, you can maximize revenue. And I'm going to use the grain and oilseeds farmers example. That gives farmers access to things like options, futures prices, forward pricing, or simply waiting until the spring because you've got an extended window to sell that product. You can wait a longer period of time to generate your sales, ultimately maximizing the return on that product, ultimately maximizing your profit at the bottom line. So it really is about flexibility of marketing in terms of making sure that you don't have to sell when you don't want to sell because you've got money already to pay the bills.
I love it. I'm a big fan of this program for all of the reasons we discussed. And then that one at the end, it's just been amazing for helping us maximize our income. Absolutely. Okay. So I'm sure you have piqued a lot of interest in the audience. One thing I wanted to note, the program is right across Canada.
Yep.
CCGA only lends to certain provinces. Can you touch on who you lend to? And then maybe as a follow-up question for that, for individuals that are outside of your area, where they can find more information.
Certainly. So CCGA does grain, oilseeds, and livestock advances in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and the Peace River area of BC. So that's where we serve, and that's our customer base. But for your customers out there who are in other provinces, this is a coastal program. It's a federal government program available through 29 different administrators across the country. And they can go to Agriculture Canada's website. It's agriculture.canada.ca. And there, in those other provinces, they can get a list of which administrators deliver the program for which different products in their province. And I can tell you, I know all those administrators. They would love to talk to those customers, to explain the program to them, to help them understand how the program works, and to take their application and get them started in taking advantage of this great program.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. We have farmers tuning in right across Canada, so that's helpful. Okay, a farmer is interested. Where do they go from here if they want to connect with you and apply?
The simplest way to do it is to call us at our toll-free number. It's 1-866-745-2256. We have a dedicated contact center staff. Their entire job is to take that phone call. And for new farmers who've never used the program or haven't used it in a number of years, they will actually complete the application for you over the phone because there are different forms to be completed depending on the province that you apply for your advance in. They will email you the completed forms along with a list of any additional information that we require to set up your advance. It's a one-time, the first time setup is a little bit longer depending on your corporate structure and your organization. But once we have everything complete, we'll direct deposit the money into your bank account. And after that, you can apply online yourself. You can apply over the phone yourself. And the process is much simpler because essentially it becomes, well, Tracy, what have you growing today? Or how many animals do you have today? How much would you like?
Fantastic. That sounds nice and easy, which is great. Farmers are busy and a lot on our plate. So thank you for making it easy. What we'll also do is we'll include the phone number, the website link in our show page. So anybody listening, interested, you know where to find that. Dave, unless you have anything else to add, I think we're going to move to wrap up the episode.
Well, I just want to thank you, Tracy, for the opportunity. And I hope that this has given some people some information to help them make an informed decision about whether a cash advance makes sense for their operation.
I love it. I love this program, and I'm so thankful for you coming on and sharing more. Thank you so much, Dave.
Have a great day.
Thanks. And you guys in the audience, if you found this valuable, one, go and connect with CCGA and also like it, share it, get it out there so other farmers can learn about this powerful tool for their farming operation. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.